I wish that everybody would just die in their sleep.
Hello and welcome to episode number 49 of Unrelenting for November 4th, 2022. Yes, believe it or not, Gene, we're almost at 50 episodes. I am Darren O'Neill. He is Sir Gene, or Surging, or something.
Yeah, Surging. How are we still not at 50? I thought we were at like 150 by now.
It seems that way. There's like a time
Oh, because we did have them with a different title show. Okay.
Right. There was the
That's what it was.
The ramping up of the Unrelenting. I mean, although I saw on the Good Old Boys podcast that you do with your other co-host, dude named Ben.
Uh-huh.
You didn't even know his name. I mean, so we know that's still pretty early in the relationship. You're like, what?
You know, he said, hey, how about we take all those shows that I did with you on your other show and we stick them into the RSS feed?
Right, because it seems like the show's been around longer then.
Yeah, and I said, fuck that shit. I own those.
that's
You're just a guest.
That's right. I own you. I own you.
So this new show where you were in charge of getting the car painted and you screwed up by not painting the roof.
Yeah, he missed the
new show
flag. See, but that is like so whitewashed.
That is so totally on him because I outsourced that whole process to him, and he thought about it. He's like, do we want to like not be on Apple after a week by having show art with a Confederate flag, or should we stick around longer in the week?
Well, here's what I'm wondering.
It's up to you, dude. I outsourced this to you. It's your decision.
The technology is now really good at being able to edit video.
Mm-hmm.
How long before the Dukes of Hazzard
edits out? Oh, it's probably already done.
I wouldn't be surprised that the Confederate flag is off the General Lee, and it'll just be a plain blank roof, or they'll put something else stupid over that. Maybe they'll put advertising there, like buy Viagra or something.
I am a little surprised that you noticed that the flag was not on the roof, given you're blind. But
hey, I have a
large size. I have a large size version of that image, so I did notice it right away. But the image in the podcast isn't all that big, so
no. But you can actually go through and enlarge, not quite like they do on FBI or CSI.
Enhance.
Yes,
enhance. Zoom. Enhance. Look around the wall.
I know. I cringe every time I watch one of those shows. And
you have to wonder though if somebody in that show's production team is a fan of Blade Runner and they're literally doing it tongue in cheek.
They may be, because the way they work it, and some of the I don't watch CSI. The only one I really watch is FBI because I like Missy Paragerm, however you say her last name. And they often use that.
What's it called?
FBI.
The chick's name.
Missy Paragerm, PGYRM or something like that is.
I've not heard of this woman. You'd have to send me a photo at some point.
Well, she was in, way back in the day, a very weird little show called Reaper, which was on like the WB or something like that back in the day. And then she wound up on Rookie Blue, which was another cop show. And that lasted like 6 or 7 seasons.
So she's like a permanent TV cop.
It seems like that way now, yeah.
Huh.
Which isn't
kinda
really,
like,
it's not bad to be typecast as something that there's shows that have been running for.
Kind of like Ice-T.
Yeah, kind of. But she's a little hotter than Ice-T.
Well, I don't know, man. Ice-T's a pretty cool dude.
He's a pretty handsome man.
He's a cool cucumber.
But they use the technology in a way on that show every now and then to move the plot forward where you just go, it's not anywhere near real at all. I mean, they're getting like, well, let's track somebody's cell. It goes from like, let's literally within the span of 10 seconds, let's track their cell phone. Okay, I got him. There's the cell phone. Okay, I'm pulling up Street Cam. Okay, we have a live picture of this person sitting at the stoplight at whatever.
Okay.
And
And then
like,
where's the fake part?
that's just not quite that fast. I don't think. I know you've talked about this kind of technology. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm the one that's like, there's no way the technology can be this good, and I'm just being naive.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Okay, I understand now. This is scaring me because when you lose the ability to speak, that means there's some legal reason why, which means everybody should be very afraid. Wear masks.
I'm just trying to think back. What were my non-disclosure agreements? What length were they set to? Oh yeah, lifetime. Okay.
Yeah. This if that's reality, it's like, wow, no crime should ever be allowed to happen because we have coverage of everybody for everything.
We do have coverage of everybody, but what we don't have yet quite is eyeballs for that coverage.
Oh, so it's like the Paul Pelosi thing. We have a live camera, but nobody's watching.
Correct.
That's very convenient.
Yeah, and this is the main reason that we need to get the next generation of AIs built.
Well, that would make sense.
Because we need somebody, and I think the acronym will be GOD for the AI, but we need somebody that can literally watch every camera in the entire planet simultaneously and discriminate on the images that they see to determine whether what they're watching is legal or not.
Well, and to determine whether or not it matches something that looks like a crime is about to happen.
That's the next generation.
That really is
the current generation is just going to check. Yeah, exactly. The first generation or the first generation of this generation is going to be simply evaluating for legality. The next generation, based on that data and the accuracy of the current generation or next generation. God damn, I'm getting mixed up. That one will be able to then determine future crime with a very high degree of accuracy. And it's not going to be some weird balls dropping based on, 3 humans in a vat of water, some bullshit like that. It'll just be a room full of racks of computers.
Well, like in the Pelosi case, the AI doesn't even have to be that strong. If you have cameras on a premises, we know that facial recognition.
Does California have sodomy laws or not? I
don't know. I mean, California was a weird outlier for a lot of things.
It is.
But with the facial recognition technology, this, even if somebody was not monitoring the cameras at the Pelosi residence, you would think that the video footage would be always being run through a facial recognition thing. And it would be like, oh, well, okay, that's Nancy. Okay, that's her husband. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the housekeeper. Hey, wait, we don't recognize this person at 2 a.m. on their property. Mm-hmm. That should maybe set off some alarms. But Nancy wasn't there. So I'm kind of wondering if Nancy was a little pissed about the whole drunk driving thing. And we heard there was another person in the car with him with the drunk driving thing. That's allegedly, that was what I've heard.
Yeah.
Maybe this was
there's always these other men that don't seem to be accounted for around him.
Yes. And it's like, well, maybe this was a hit job. Maybe this was Nancy trying to take care of the problem.
I think she'd do it less publicly.
She would probably do it herself.
Well, I don't know about that, but she definitely would figure out a way to not make the news when it happens.
Well, that's impossible, though, if you're going to whack your husband and you're a political figure.
Oh, no, it's not that hard. Are you kidding? People have all kinds of hot tub accidents.
Well, okay, he could die in weird circumstance. He doesn't need to be. That I will agree with.
He could just fall off the balcony of their 28th floor summer house.
He could have just had a massive heart attack as well.
Could have had a heart attack. That happens all day long. Yeah, but no, luckily California does not have sodomy laws, or at least they don't have non-consensual, or the only sodomy laws they have are non-consensual sodomy.
Well, in San Francisco, I mean, everything kind of goes.
It kind of is everything consensual, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
They certainly wouldn't prosecute even if it was against the law.
Wait. She lives in San Francisco. I didn't realize this.
Yes,
I thought she lived in the burbs.
They have multiple homes, but this one was in San Francisco, which also makes you kind of question.
Oh,
right?
boy.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I've had a couple of friends live in San Francisco, and I'd say the ratio out there is about 50 or more, but a minimum of 50%, guy looking for guy type.
And that's why you avoid San Francisco like the plague.
No, San Francisco, I don't avoid. I mean, these days, full of shit, so I would definitely avoid it now. But
needles.
Back in the 80s, San Francisco was happening.
Well, it was a beautiful city.
Well, before AIDS hit.
Yeah.
I mean, Fauci, screwed the whole thing up.
No, he fixed it all, didn't he?
Uh-huh. Yep. Just like COVID.
It's all about population control in so many different ways.
Yeah, but even population control, it's sort of like, well, why? And I think it ultimately it comes down to power and money.
Well, doesn't everything?
If they could figure out a way to control a larger population, then we wouldn't have to talk about population control.
Is it that they just want to be able to control, or is there the insanity that the people that
see, a lord can only have so many serfs before the serfs rebel.
And then they want more. Well, which is why
and then they want more bread and tournaments.
Now,
and
for
so
the things
the Lord has to provide those.
Well, and the things that the Lord does not want to provide here, and the sacrifices that the serfs are going to have to make, we've long said that's the reason for the climate crisis that that's the reason for everything, because that's don't run your air conditioning in the summer. Don't run your heat in the winter. Don't eat red meat. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't drive too much.
No, those are all things that ought to be reserved for the lords, not for the serfs.
Exactly. But they give you that reason so that way the lowly plebes, there's a large percentage that go, oh, yeah, I'm doing my part. I'm doing good for the planet. Yeah, I'm doing the right thing. No, you're not. You're being duped. You're being scammed. But I digress. Well,
the whole idea of having individuals be responsible for the fate of the whole world sounds very, very familiar. And it's, comes right out of the Bible. And it's a good technique to screw with somebody else's psyche to get them to do what you want. Is you just place an unreasonable burden on them that they can't possibly achieve, but they will have gnawing at the back of their mind all the time. And it makes people a lot more compliant.
Right. We heard from Joe Biden just, 2 days, was it last night, 2 nights ago? Well, if you vote Republican, you're a threat to the democracy of this country. It's like, really, you're getting
and that's technically true. I mean, if you vote Republican, you're not voting Democrat, and you're a threat to the Democrats.
That makes sense.
Democracy just means lots of Democrats.
He may think so.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think we have a democracy. We don't. We have a democratic republic, and then that blows everybody's brains because they're like, what's the difference?
Yeah, when we shouldn't really have a democratic republic. We should have a republic.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad idea, but, there
With lords and serfs, the way God intended.
Is that the way God intended? Now
Pretty sure.
That sounds like Lara Logan talks. We have to cut all ties with you and not allow you back on the network.
Uh-oh.
How dare you speak for God?
Well, last time I spoke to God, he told me a thing or two.
Like things are about to get real serious.
He's thinking of having a sex change operation.
It's the only way to get into a hospital quickly these days.
Mm-hmm.
There's a waiting list for everything. Hey, you got cancer? We can't really get you in for a year. Oh, you want to
really? Are we the UK now with the national health systems?
I'm kind of pointing towards those countries, not the United States.
Well, that's been a while though. I mean, part of those countries' medical system process is to see how many patients they can get rid of before they show up.
That way it lightens the load.
Yeah, because then you don't have to provide for the level of healthcare.
If people die before they get to their appointment date, that
as a planned sort of obsolescence, yes.
Well, and this is it. This is all, for whatever reason, there seems to be the population control.
Yeah. Well,
which is the
in
same
fact,
thing
I think
with
related
abortion.
to that. Yeah, sorry, related to that topic, I just read something in Canada now. They no longer have to get the parents' permission to euthanize a minor.
Wait.
That's a decision that can be made by the healthcare system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we know that there is euthanasia, and that was, I think, in the UK, where there was the woman that was in her early 20s, but was at the scene of a terrorist attack when she was a teenager, did not have any physical injuries, was just emotionally scarred from it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, yeah, you could die. We'll kill you. The state will kill you because you can't handle your mental pain.
I think in the Netherlands, they're making some strides along that path as well.
It's insanity. Just the treating life like it's garbage is insanity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big supporter of suicide. I think that you don't truly own yourself unless you can decide what you want to do with yourself. And suicide can't be illegal for that reason. It's part of the picture. But there's a difference between suicide.
Well, and homicide, which is somebody euthanasia. Helping you.
Yeah. Or making a decision for you when you're out.
Yes.
Like you're in a coma or whatever.
Gene's asleep right now, but we're thinking maybe it's time.
Exactly.
Just taking a nap.
But that's just another version of the, let's see if they die on the way to the hospital so we don't have to deal with them syndrome. Which is the whole, we'll get to your cancer in a year kind of problem.
Yes. You don't have the resources.
Yeah. Like there's a big problem with somebody else making a life and death decision on your part. But I feel that every person should have, and does in fact have, that personal choice to make. And so I would not stigmatize suicide the way it's currently stigmatized. There's no reason to stigmatize it. People ought to be able to make those. I mean, have you been to a nursing home? Have you seen old people?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And I've said that multiple times. It's like, thankfully, I still have my mind at the ripe old age that I am. But at some point, the mind's going to start to go. And I would prefer to make a decision about my future or the lack thereof when I have full facilities and, not when I'm dribbling oatmeal down my chin.
Hey, I had some oatmeal this morning.
Happened. Yeah, exactly. That happened this morning. But that joke aside, it's all we've done is we've prolonged life in the absence of a mind for an awful lot of people, because there's an industry that has been built to suck money out of people before they have an opportunity to leave any inheritance.
Right, because the state wants the money.
And that is what's not even, it's an industry. It's not even the state. It's the way that they're set up for anyone that hasn't had parents that they've had to put into nursing homes, deal with it, is they charge absolutely absurd rates as the norm. We're talking about something the size of a hotel room.
Right. Barely.
Well, a hotel room that will, it's a bed and then a desk and then one window. And for that, they will charge $7,000 a month.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah. And, the food that is included in that is literally oatmeal. I mean, it's just, you would not call this is not restaurant food. This is, it is the cheapest, most frugal way to do it. And the staff, every place I've ever talked to, they're always short on staff. There's nobody that's fully staffed up to a level where they or you would be comfortable.
Yes, for a variety.
So they'll charge $7,000 a month until your parents are out of savings. At which point, then they will pass them on to a government facility because they no longer can afford to be at that nursing home.
Well,
but they'll do everything they can to make sure that these elderly folks are on all the meds that they need to be on to not accidentally die in the middle of the night, because that cuts off the revenue stream.
Well, it's even more nefarious with a lot of these homes where, okay, your parents have, $500,000 in savings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for them to be accepted, you turn over that 500,000, and their guess is that they're going to make money in the long run. Now, some people will outlive that, and then they don't throw them out. But that's the trade-off.
That's the other version of that. So instead of paying monthly, it's like, well, we'll do it for a fixed fee, which is ridiculously high. I mean, you literally could just go stay in a hotel with a swimming pool and daily room service for less money than what you pay for these nursing homes.
Yes. And you're right. The food was one of the issues where my wife's grandmother was, and they kept having problems with keeping a chef, which is horrible. Because then now this is a case of where somebody quits. Well, you have to provide food for however many people are in the facility. So that got kind of dicey at times. But the other thing was, because food was included, you know how old people are. My wife's grandmother never wanted to, because she would complain about the food. And we were like, well, at the time I knew somebody that owned a Italian restaurant right down the street. I'm like, just call. They deliver, get whatever you want. We'll pay for it. Well, no, I already pay for my food here. It's like, yeah, but if it sucks, every now and then, if you want something good, they will deliver it to you. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about it. But there's that mentality like, well, I'm paying for the food, so this is what I have to eat. And that's, unfortunately, one of the ways.
It's a horrible industry. I honestly, I wish that everybody would just die in their sleep. Out of context. Everybody would die in their sleep
at the age of 101
before needing to go to a nursing home. Like, that would be, for most people, a blessing.
Oh, yeah. And that, I mean, I've seen with my mom's cousin a few years ago where her health deteriorated, but she had the ability to have in-home workers, which is just as bad of a system as the nursing home, because it's really hard to get somebody you can trust. They stole stuff from her. Things disappear, and there's not much else you can do. But my parents, I mean, knock on wood, are both in their 80s, and they're both living in their house, and they're able to take care of themselves. And, that is a rarity, though.
Just whippersnappers still.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, again, this is where the question of where to provide health care comes in, because 2 years ago, my mom had colon cancer and had cancer surgery. She needed double bypass. This all happened within a couple of months, and she's back fully mobile, doing like nothing ever happened. But there's a lot of people that would be like, oh, you're 80. Oh, you have cancer. Oh, you have a heart thing. Oh, well, you're probably not going to live that long. So, and it's like, it's crazy. It really is. It's a crazy system. We were warned that with all of this healthcare stuff, that there was going to be the death panels and all of that. And it seems like we are inching towards that. We're not quite there yet. If you have,
well, we did have death panels in New York.
Well, that's true with the COVID. We're going to just send them right back to the nursing homes and wipe out a large.
Yeah. Well, we're going to just send people in general who have COVID to nursing homes, because we wouldn't want to have them staying in a hotel.
It's a good place to quarantine. The nursing homes are way better.
A great place to quarantine, and they always have room available.
Well, no, they don't. Yeah. That's the sad part. They're filling up.
Well, they do for sick people.
Just throw right. Well, let's throw them in the kitchen, because there's no way the disease will spread this way.
No, not at all. So yeah, fun topic.
Yes. Glad you tuned in. Right.
This is tech news. I got tech news.
Okay.
So I recently upgraded my computer monitor.
Again? You had what, a 32? Was it?
It's a 43.
43? Wow.
Yeah. So this is also 43. This is same size, but this one is 144 hertz.
Oh, so faster refresh rate.
So it's a faster 43.
It's for the gamers.
This is literally a gaming monitor. Yeah. And I have to say, I kind of did it somewhat on the whim, but I wasn't sure what to expect in it. having a fast refresh rate, and not like the old one was a slouch, it was 60, but going from 60 to 144, I think is easier on the eyeballs. I don't think my eyes are getting tired ever since I upgraded.
Well, it's allegedly a more natural. The more the machine can refresh the image, the more natural it's going to be, because otherwise you're not seeing it, but it is blocky. It's a strobe effect, which you can see on, if you have the camera set to the right frame rate.
Yeah.
Because most are the standard was 30 hertz, right? Was it 30? Then they doubled it to 60. And
well, the computer standard was 30. The TV standard in the US was always 60. Well, 59. But yeah.
So it made sense when you got the computers. They're now 144.
Well, okay. So technically, you're kind of right too, because the refresh was 60, but it was interlaced. So it only did every other line at 60, which means for the full image, it was once every 30th of a second, or 29.97, I believe.
Yeah, 29.99. You see that when you do the video editing.
It's always annoying.
You're like, why? Why is it like that? Why isn't it a round number?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to have time for the electron beam to go back up to the top. That's where that comes from.
The reset.
Yeah, it's the there's a name for it. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head now.
Has this increased your gameplay at all?
Has it, like, the amount of time? No, I don't think so. But
it's more immersive.
It's not even more immersive. It's just less tiring to the eyeballs. You normally, if you're sitting there for 4 hours, you need to take a break. Well, I go for 6 or 8 hours now.
Oh, you're getting close to just being in the Matrix now.
Oh, I've been in the Matrix for a while, my friend.
Living your life inside
and
Star Citizen and
between Star Citizen and Cyberpunk, I'm definitely getting my fill of the Matrix.
There you go. They know who you are.
They do. Well,
they are tracking Virtual Gene.
Well, it's funny because for many, many years, I don't think it's, I don't know, maybe it's still utilized, but for many, many years, this was the preferred method of passing along information discreetly.
Right, in a video game.
In a video game, yeah. And what's so funny is there were FBI training films that I've watched, as well as FSB training films that I've watched that talk about how to look for this.
Wow.
I mean, it's the irony in it is that everybody knows this is happening, but it's also really freaking hard to control, because a lot of this data is not passed on in any format. Even if you could intercept at the server level, it's audio. It's not an image. It's not like somebody sending a file in a video game. It's literally two dudes talking through a video game interface. But that conversation, in the way that a lot of MMOs are built, is it is localized to the location of those two people in the game. So it'd be no different than, two people sitting on a bench in the outskirts of Virginia having a conversation, which, has never happened in the world of spies, of course. But
right.
It's really hard to do, and they've gotten better at pulling that type of information out of gaming servers now, of course. But for a long time, that was the most secure possible communication you could have, was a voice communication inside of a video game that was not global voice, but it was local voice.
Right. Well,
and anybody that plays video games knows what I'm talking about.
Well, it's existed. I'm trying to remember when this started. I think it was 93 or 94. I remember playing PlayStation baseball with a buddy in California.
I'm pretty sure you were not playing PlayStation in 93 or 94.
Was it 95? Whatever the PlayStation, was it the second one? Whatever. There was a PlayStation. It was around that time. The PS3.
Okay. Well, PS3 is much more recent. That's in the 2000s. Are you kidding?
Whatever it was one of them PlayStation thingies.
Okay.
But that went back to like right about the time I got married. So that's like right around the mid 90s.
Oh, yeah, 95. PlayStation, the first one came out in 95.
Well, that was it. And it was amazing. Like, oh my God, you could put the headset on and talk to the person you were playing. And it's like, you always figured, how are you going to monitor that? All the channels that they were ready to monitor, this was not one of them. Although, again, I guess if Sony or whoever was controlling those servers let them in, then I guess they could probably pick and choose whatever they wanted to grab. But that had to be so much data.
Well, and yeah, I mean, a lot of data, but also if you had access to the server, you'd need to know of the thousands of audio conversations that are localized that are happening in there. You'd have to either get copies of all of them in real time.
Well, that's true. Just imagine everybody in like a Second Life.
Exactly. You remember Second Life.
Yes.
Adam had a big island on that thing. I remember that. Yeah. It was basically casino. I had a little bitty casino that I ran in Second Life.
Oh, I bet you did.
Well, it was either a casino or a brothel. That's your main two occupations in Second Life.
Hey, you have to make money somehow.
Uh-huh.
Now there are lightning casinos, which I'm very just giddy. I think that's hilarious.
Yes. There's ads for those that I've seen a lot.
It's because with the laws, there's really nothing anybody can do. It's like you can gamble from anywhere you want. You want to play poker for real money? That's lightning. You can do this with.
Well, that's a good way of putting it.
Ways.
I mean, you're basically getting poker chips when you buy this stuff.
Yes,
and you can't ever cash them out. They're just poker chips. You might as well use them.
You may as well use them to gamble.
You could bring one casino's poker chips to another casino and potentially cash them out into the other brand of poker chips, but nobody ever gets cash back out of this stuff.
And it does feel like a whole different thing when you're doing a donation, as I did, I think it was last week, to Adam Curry and Dave Jones Podcasting 2.0. I sent them 500,000 sats.
Yeah, so 500,000, what is that, like $100?
Yeah. But it doesn't even feel like $100 because it's sats. You know, it doesn't feel like real. I mean, I know you could get this back into fiat if you really wanted to.
Yeah, but it costs you.
There's a slight percentage cost. I like to throw a decent amount of what I get from those donations to those guys because
that's the other reason
they exist.
The other reason it didn't feel much is because you got it for free.
Right. Well, this is it. It wasn't like I put money into it. This for me. It's the VIG because Adam and Dave helped this whole lightning thing come around. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I take a percentage of the stuff that comes in and then I send it their way because that just feels right. But it also doesn't feel like real money. So it's a weird, it's a weird mentality.
And Adam has gone on record and said that everything he gets, he never converts to US dollars. It's all sitting there.
Yeah, which Bitcoin. Means if this Bitcoin as it's going up today, if Bitcoin starts going up and up, this is going to keep looking like a better and better.
If Bitcoin starts going up, I think the donations will start going down.
Right, the lightning. It's like, we sent you 500,000 sats. Today I'm going to send you like 3. Not 1,000, just 3.
Exactly. And you can go, God damn it, I wish there's a way to reverse those things.
It is a question. Does people want to get rid of their sats when it's going down? Then when it's going up, they're like, I'm going to save it.
Well, because you have future value to think about.
There is,
and if it's on the way down, if we're in a bear market, the future value, kind of like inflation, right? The future value for sats they'll be worth less.
We know,
so you might as well use them now.
Yeah, we know there are people that tell the story of back in the day, they bought a pizza for 12 Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never done that, but I do have friends, like good friends that back when sats were around when Bitcoin was around $100, not 26,000, but around $100, were super happy when Amazon let you buy Amazon gift cards for sats.
Yes. Well,
it was one of the best ways to convert. I keep saying sats. It was the best way to convert Bitcoin into US dollars.
And there are a couple of services that will do that for the Lightning. And it seems like they're legit. I've looked into them and it's not bad. You can turn in, it's like a 3% vig to them. So if you want a $100 Amazon gift card, you're going to give them $103 in the sats, which really isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad ratio to turn that into something you can spend in the real world. I don't think anyway.
I guess. It is interesting. But like I said, it's kind of a joke, but it's also kind of true that the number of sats in my wallet keeps going up. Because amazingly, there's still, but the value remains the same. Yeah.
How does this happen? Well, look at inflation.
Well, and I should say the value compared to the US dollar remains the same. The value compared to the ruble is actually going down.
Well, that is the intriguing part. And I've seen a couple people talking about this recently on the socials, which we've talked about here. This was Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies were allegedly going to be the hedge against inflation, and that's been proven 100% wrong. It is following exactly what is going on with the U.S. dollar.
Yep. You can't have a hedge against inflation that you can't use readily. And this has to do with the liquidity issue, is because even if you could buy pizza for sats or for Bitcoin in general, it's a much more complicated process. There are a lot fewer choices than using US dollars. So for the most part, if you actually want to spend out of your Bitcoin account, you have to convert it to US dollars. Now, I know that there's a growing number of stores and companies that are willing to accept Bitcoin, but if you check, they're all accepting it at a worse rate conversion than what you'd be able to do if you used one of the large Bitcoin sellers out there and did the conversion.
Yeah, if you would do it yourself.
Or Amazon gift cards, for that matter.
I think where we're going is you're going to see the major credit card companies decide that they will also accept payment in crypto, but they're just going to charge more. Yeah,
they'll charge more, which, again, it's because they're doing the conversion. They're not just, there's no, I can't categorically say there isn't one, but there is, for most people, not really a native Bitcoin economy out there. Like, can you pay for a lot of things with Bitcoin if you accept the idea that the first step is going to be converting it to US dollars? Then yes, you can pay for tons of things in Bitcoin.
Right. It's not like El Salvador that said every business has to accept Bitcoin as payment.
Right. And most companies, like, if you next time go find a gas station, they'll just take Bitcoin natively. I haven't run across that. Maybe there are some, but I sure as hell haven't seen it. So, and if they do, if they put a little sign up that says, "Hey, we now take Bitcoin." When you go up there, and I've done this a couple of times, and you say, "So how's your Bitcoin work?" "Oh, well, we've got this machine, and all you do is you punch in here, you send it the Bitcoin, and it will then generate a check to us." So all they've done is effectively put in a money conversion box into their establishments. They're still getting paid with US dollars,
but there's also a big problem still with Bitcoin
because there's a machine that'll take it.
Yeah, but with that example, getting gas is a bad one, because at this point it's still 10, 20, 30 minutes before a transaction.
If you're using Bitcoin instead of sats, yes. The sats go a lot faster.
Oh yeah, sats are almost instantaneous.
Yeah, but the actual Bitcoin, now the cost is lower than it was because Chinese, miners aren't making Bitcoin anymore. But when they were making it, like, it could easily cost you 5% transaction fee just to send Bitcoin. And the first time I remember I paid that, I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't never have to pay 5% just to send money.
You're like, I have cash, baby.
That's crazy. Well, no, you've got a lot of other ways. I mean, shit, dude, a money order only costs, well, it's either free if you have enough money in your bank account, or it's like $20 for pretty much anybody or less. I think Walmart will do it for $10.
Oh yeah, you can get them for really cheap at the post office. They'll send a postal money order.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you want to go the high-tech route and do a wire transfer, that's usually under $20. And that nobody takes a percentage of your money that way. Nobody legitimate anyway. I'm sure there's some non-legitimate businesses out there that'll do it.
Yeah, we wouldn't know
like
anything about
cash loan companies.
Right. We'll do it for you for a very small and reasonable fee.
A small 5% transactional fee and with a $10 minimum. Now, how many would you like to send? $50?
No, I would not. That's when you go running. Well, that was like the other day when I went into the post office and when we got our P.O. box, I know the dude only gave me one key. So this is very inconvenient because my wife
you should not have left there with just one key. You should have insisted on staying until you got two keys.
That was my mistake. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Then when I went in to ask at a later date, like, well, how do I get a second key? Oh, we could do that for you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great. I'm like, okay, how much? And they're like $20 or something stupid. And I'm like, what? They're like, well, $5 is for the key and then 15. I'm like, well, then no, I'll just keep inconveniencing you by asking what's in the box if I don't have the key. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, I'm sure. But I mean, I had a fun story.
Now, when you said P.O. box, I didn't think you meant actual post office box. I thought you meant one of the multitude of like FedEx stores or UPS stores or something.
This is an actual P.O. box at an actual United States Postal Service post office.
That's so anachronistic.
Yes, I know. But this is what is literally a mile from the house, and they're actually cheaper than the FedEx and UPS versions. I'm sure there maybe is a mailbox, et cetera, or something around. I mean, and also to be fair, the post office P.O. box rates have gone way up over the last couple of years, so I need to relook at the pricing again and see if there is a better option. But no, this was...
Well, you have a fun story with UPS too, or FedEx.
FedEx, yes. Well, I actually don't because, I do, and I don't because I wasn't me. I was you, which is also a great part of the story, which, I mean, everybody knows I like Taylor Swift. She was selling autographed vinyl, and you could only order 4. So when the autograph thing came out, I ordered 4. Then I ordered 4 to my parents' address. And then they came back. They came back and I was like, hey, Gene, I need more. I need a fix. And they were popping up and then going away. So it was like maybe they found they had a few more and then it would disappear. So I knew you would be, if you were around, I knew you would be quick. And indeed, boom, you got the order in and it goes on like its merry way.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting junk mail from Taylor Swift.
Well, which is funny because there's people that are mad about the mail that they sent out today, but we can get around to that in a minute if we want. But the thing is with FedEx or anybody, and it's like, well, I could have had you ship it to my house, but the one time when I split it up, because I have a credit card that's also at my parents' address, that's the mailing address. So the last time I ordered some of the autographed and I sent them to my regular home, and I ordered some autographed ones and sent them there figuring, well, okay, it's the same name, but it's a different address. So of course there could be more than one Darren O'Neill, right? I would think.
Sure.
And they flagged it and they weren't going to send it. And then I had to argue with them and they were like, oh, well, that was a mistake. I'm guessing it might have been the fact that I ordered right after each other and I probably didn't change my IP address. But it's like, well, that still shouldn't make a difference when you're talking about if you get 4 per customer, if it's a different address, I would think it would be different. But
yeah, I mean, I would just assume they said 4 per customer and put a 4 limit per order, but I would be shocked if they're actually have any countermeasures in place to.
It seems like they did, which was the why this time I'm like, well, okay, I would order another.
Either that or you just screwed something up and made yourself think they did.
Anything's possible. I should have tried that because I could have just sent it to myself in the P.O. box. But I'm like, Gene, order it. Send it to the P.O. box. I'll pay you. And then, of course,
you could have just, used somebody's name and put the order in yourself.
Well, but they go by, I'm sure, the credit card.
And you have a VPN, so you could change your IP address all the time.
Oh, I could. I don't have multiple credit cards. Although that's another service I saw when looking
Yeah,
at who takes
PayPal. They don't take
Lightning.
PayPal?
But PayPal would all still be attached to the same address.
You have just one PayPal?
Yeah, should I have more than one?
You don't have a separate PayPal for podcasts?
No.
For each podcast? Oh my God.
I know.
You're intermingling. You're commingling. That's illegal.
Which is why I have to download the database, their Excel spreadsheet, and then go by line and just
Why
sort
do you not
them.
have a separate PayPal for each podcast, dude? They're free. They're literally free.
I don't know. Will they let you even do that?
You can have as many PayPals as you like.
That I did not know. I am just muddling the waters.
Oh, that's not good. I'm positive now that I do a whole bunch of money now.
You owe me a bunch of money? That's possible.
Yeah, I'm due a bunch of money.
I show you the spreadsheet. You can have them. You can do with them if you want. That's why I love when anything that is an oddity. If you just click the donate button, they mark every one of them on PayPal. Random Thoughts, Planet Rage, Unrelenting. But if you don't, then that's just blank. And I have to go through and be like, what does this go to?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be fair. I want to make sure the funds, although, I mean, you always tell people not to donate. So maybe I should just put everything into a different show here. That's not a bad idea. I can start doing that. But in this case,
I would break that stuff up by show. It'll make your life easier. And that way you have a very easy.
The accounting would be way easier.
Yeah, the accounting would be way easier, and you'd know how much came in from which thing.
So this will be, well, that is easy enough with the spreadsheet. But if I can do that, that's it'll be nice and easy to do that for the first of the year, where I can just separate the
there you
emails
go.
out.
Yeah, started on the first of the year.
And that way everything will be separate. But in this case, you got the thing ordered. And
I did.
Now, I didn't think this would even be an issue.
Now, and you're skipping a detail. I texted you and said, which shipping method would you prefer? It'll go all the way up to an overnight for like $80 or something.
Yeah, I didn't want it overnight.
Yeah, clearly you did. You just didn't want to pay for overnight.
Oh, you're getting a little robotic here. This is a first.
Oh, am I? Oh, okay. It's my voice. It's not the computer.
No, it is. It's like Cyloning now. That's weird.
Oh, nice.
Maybe a bad connection. You can refresh.
I don't know. Can you still? Do you want me to refresh, or are we back to normal?
No, it's still going. This is a long extended period. Yeah.
Okay, I'll refresh. Mark it.
It's still doing it. Refreshing right now. Gene is refreshing. We're getting ready to test this connection again.
Are we back?
Yes, you're back. Now you sound better.
Okay. All right, good.
But yeah, you did offer the more expensive shipping. And I'm like, there's no reason.
Yeah, you're like, go with free. I'm like, they don't have free. They'll charge you $8 minimum no matter what. So it is what it is.
Well, and this was one, I didn't think it would even be an issue when you sent me the thing. And it was sent to the P.O. Box address, which our P.O. Box lets you do if you give the street address. A lot of people don't know that. If you have a P.O. Box, check with the postmaster, check with somebody at your local office. But ours is like, hey, you want to get FedEx here, you want to get UPS, whatever. Just use the street address and put the number down instead of putting P.O. Box 358. Just put number 358, unit 358, suite 358. We'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even really pay much attention that you sent it to your name, which was not any kind of a problem until the problems began. Because you didn't send it to Darren O'Neill at that address. You sent it to Gene Nevtuliev.
They never asked me.
Right. It's like this. They're just like shipping address.
What they asked me was, what they asked me is, what's the name of the credit card? And then what street address would you like that sent to?
Nice. So there was no option there. And the delivery, they originally attempted the delivery on Saturday, which I knew was going to be a kludge because the post office is only open to like noon or 1 on Saturday.
Yeah. So that didn't work.
So they missed it. And I'm like, morons. So then Monday comes along and I'm watching the tracking because I'm like, well, if it's at the right time, I'll run out and get it, or ask the wife to pick it up on lunch, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not getting there. And I'm like, okay, it's after 5. They're going to miss it again. And at like 5:45, the thing updates with customer moved or address incorrect, returning to sender.
That's great.
And I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So I was on the phone with FedEx within minutes of that being flagged. And their customer service is the most inept, most unhelpful group of people.
Oh yeah, I have that experience. The local guy that actually delivers is great, but customer service is FedEx. You're better off just driving to FedEx and then talking to them in person.
Which we have a FedEx place right here in our town. It's like a new little thing. But again, here's the thing. What I'm thinking is if I have to go into the location, the package says to Gene Nevtuliev, they're going to be like, well, let me see your ID.
That's funny.
And I'll be like, fuck you. No, I'm not.
I'm doing identity theft here, guys. So do you mind just giving it to me and not worrying about what my name is?
Right. Help a brother out. I'm giving you the information on the package. Isn't that enough?
Yeah. I mean, what else? What do you need? I'll go steal it. Look it up. I mean,
I tell you, I get somebody on the phone and I'm like, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
And the first guy, which I don't think FedEx at this point has anybody in the United States actually answering phone calls.
No, God forbid.
Which I don't mind as long as people can understand the words that I'm saying and vice versa.
Yeah.
But this guy was like, well, no, you're going to have to contact the company. And I'm like, well, what do you mean I'm going to have to contact the company? Well, this particular service that they used, which was also an oddity here, is that the service on the FedEx page said it was SmartPost, which SmartPost, if you ever got FedEx SmartPost, they bring the package FedEx does to your local post office. Go figure.
Now.
And then the post office does the last mile.
Last mile. Yep. Correct. Yep.
But for some reason, they kept saying this was FedEx Economy, even though the web tracking said it was SmartPost. Because I was like, when I saw it was SmartPost, I'm like, this is great because you know who knows where the fucking post office is?
The post office.
Yes. Believe it or not.
Wow.
But no, because it was FedEx Economy, they couldn't open up a ticket, I was told. And I was like, you know what? If anybody from Universal, Taylor Swift, who sent out like 500,000 copies of this record, maybe you want to know that FedEx is like shaming you for not using an expensive enough service. I've never heard a tracking company.
Okay. It was not Taylor Swift that used the cheap ass service. It was you.
It was Universal
that used
Music.
The cheap ass service.
No, it was Universal Music. This is what they offered.
Darren O'Neill that was given an opportunity.
My name wasn't
to
even
use
on
a
this
much
package.
better service, and asked, "Would you like to use a service that will not lose your package, or would you like to have your package lost?"
See, that should
and
be
you
the
said,
option.
No. I want the service that costs nothing. Okay, we don't have that. Okay, give me the one that costs the least with the highest opportunity to lose my package.
That should be the option. That should be a disclaimer on there. If you choose this option, there's a 50-50 chance your package is never going to get there.
Yeah.
If you pay more, it's a 75% chance that you'll get it. There's still a chance you're not going to get it.
Yeah, there's always a chance. That's for sure. And it's always been things in my history. Anytime I've bought something expensive that I need right away, like say a new computer, that's when there's always delays and problems with delivery. That's when you get I've had this happen more than once, and unfortunately, again, on shit that was electronics that I didn't want just sitting there, is you'll get a little notice in the delivery thing in FedEx or UPS. They're almost interchangeable. That said, attempted delivery, nobody at the address.
Right.
And then there's no note on your door. Oh, hey, motherfuckers, I have a Ring camera. I can look and see if you were here to deliver. Oh, you were not. You never showed up. You never stopped at my house, but you decided to go eat a burger instead and just mark it as nobody home.
Pretty much.
That has happened to me more than once, where there was no attempt to deliver, but it was marked on a website as delivery attempted, no one home.
Well, that's what they tried here, but even worse, because then they said customer moved. And it's like, okay, asshole at FedEx who gets to the post office. I can't believe I'm the first person that has
you used to live at the
there.
post office. You no longer live at the post office. You must have moved.
I must have gone away. I thought we'd find a tent out front or something here. I don't know what we were looking for. but you know what it is to mark this thing down then.
Yeah. Customer moves.
Incorrect address. It's like, I can't believe we're not the only person ever to use this to get a package delivered.
It's like there must have been a house there, but that house no longer exists because now there's an old post office at that location.
So this must be
clearly
really
the person must have moved.
Right. You know, that was the infuriating part when they're like, well, we really can't even open up a ticket because the service here was economy. And I'm thinking, you know, the post office can look up anything from anything that was sent priority mail. So if FedEx can't look this up, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do then? And they're like, well, it'll be attempted another delivery tomorrow. And I'm like, well, that's not what your webpage says. Your webpage says
shipping back.
Yes, it's returning to sender. Well, they'll try, you know, I'm like, give me somebody else. Okay, sir. And then I get a woman in India, I'm assuming, that goes through the same thing on why she can't be helpful and says, really, you should contact the company. And that is where I snapped. My wife was looking at me like I was, and I said, you know what? The reality of this was I should have been rolling tape. I should never call anybody on my regular phone. I should call them from my Google Voice number and run a recording so I can have it for a podcast or something.
Yeah.
Because that would have been way more entertaining than just entertaining my wife. But
sure.
This woman tells me, it's like, you know, call the company. And I'm like, what company? Well, call the shipper. And I just went off, and I'm not exaggerating. I think I got fuck in like every second to third word.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, what the fuck do you mean? You want me to fucking call the fucking company and fucking tell them that FedEx can't fucking deliver to the correct fucking address that's on the fucking package because they're a bunch of fucking lazy motherfuckers? I mean, what do you want me to fucking tell them?
Wow.
I mean, my wife was just like, what the hell's going on? But I'm like, I had enough of the contact.
I want my Taylor Swift, damn it.
It's not even that's not even what it was. It's like, contact the company to tell them what the address is correct, but FedEx is fucking stupid.
Well, that's one way to do it.
I mean, it's like, what?
Okay. This is enough of a lead up. So what happened?
Well, okay. So I started dealing with the FedEx folks on Twitter who at least seemed intelligent and were trying to help. We're very apologetic.
So you got Zoomers now that are in the mix. Okay.
Probably.
And
this is very much like dealing with Comcast. The only way to deal with Comcast support is through Twitter.
Yeah.
You will get things done. It's hilarious.
That is true. When I've had to deal with the airlines, that's the only way to ever get back to you is Twitter.
It's bizarre. It is very bizarre. But here's how it was left on Wednesday, Thursday night, whatever it was. It had to be, whatever night it was. The person told me, well, I got somebody at your local Mokina thing. And I'm like, well, could you do a redirect? Because if that's the problem, they're like, well, we can't guarantee service between 9 and 5 because that's not the service that was paid for. I'm like, but the post office closes at 5. I'm like, I can give you an address to do a redirect. And they're like, well, okay, we will. What's the best phone number to reach you at? I guess the phone number
Mr. Neftuliev.
Right. Well, this is it. The whole time they're referring to me as Gene. I'm so sorry, Gene. Yes, Gene. We're so sorry, Gene, about your package. My Twitter fucking account is at Darren O'Neill, but that doesn't matter to the people at FedEx. And because at first they're like, well, it's sitting there, waiting at the FedEx and like, can I pick it up? And I'm assuming by the time there was enough markings on this account, I'm sure there was a note that the person is unhinged and ready to like rip somebody's throat out. So I'm guessing they didn't want Mr. Neftuliev showing up at the location. And I'm like, can we do a redirect? And they're like, okay, yes, we can do a redirect. She's like, I've got the guy at your local FedEx. What is the best phone number to reach you? Because I guess the number that you had on there was disconnected. They tried that number, I guess, for further information on shipping.
I don't recall putting a number in there.
It was a 901 area code, whatever that was.
I do not have a 901 code number.
Okay, well, this is very interesting as well. And I'm like, no, here's the number where they can contact me. And I left it.
Okay, so you're some random dude off Twitter that's just trying to get FedEx to redirect somebody else's mail.
Yes. Yes,
that's awesome.
Yes, I am. But here's the funny part. That was how we left it, that the guy from the hub was going to call with further information. and nobody ever fucking called. The next day, it showed up at the post office in the morning.
Oh, look at that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there was just a note that says deliver before 5.
There's also a big thing written on. Well, is a return to sender written on the package, and then there is another big sticker which is written that recipient verified this is the correct address. So it's like, you people are so fucking stupid. It's a post office. I mean, I don't understand why it was that difficult, nor do I understand. It's like, one, never ship FedEx, because if you do and you ship a ground economy or whatever this was,
well, that's
the only answer is they can't help.
So there is, well, I guess there is now. There never was a FedEx ground. That was not a thing. FedEx was a company that specialized in doing overnight deliveries, and then they added 2-day delivery, and I think finally 3-day for economy. But that was it. 3 days was the slowest way you could do it. And then there was a company that I don't remember the name of. It's not DHL, but it's something like DHL. It was like some other postal delivery company that was only doing slow ass cheap deliveries.
That would be a great name for a company.
And then FedEx bought them, and then rebranded them as FedEx Ground.
I guess that explains everything.
And so it's literally 2 separate computer systems, 2 of everything. And it's been years now since this happened. It's probably been over a decade for sure. But like that type of integration happens really slowly, and especially in companies that have unions, which FedEx does.
Yeah,
and
so they do.
And so you have 2 separate computer systems. So the guy, the manager at the shop, literally has 2 computers on his desk because they don't talk to each other. You got the ground computer, and then you got the old FedEx Air stuff. And it's that integration takes a long time to happen, because they can't just stop the business for a few weeks to get that integration done.
Now
so it has to happen in real time, and their business is 24/7.
It was like 24 hours into this was the first time the woman on Twitter said, since the driver was unable to complete the delivery, that's why the package is at the station and available for pickup. And I'm like, wait. Nobody ever once said it was available for pickup anywhere. They said it was going back to the sender. And then you should
always know that it's available for pickup. Like, anytime you have a package that's coming or been attempted to deliver, you can always go to a local FedEx, whatever they call it.
Yes, the local hub, wherever that may be.
The hub. Yes, exactly. There's a hub for UPS. There's a hub for FedEx. Every city has a hub. There's very few of them, meaning even in large cities, there's usually only one hub.
There's a bunch out here,
but they will keep those packages on the truck for the next attempt. They don't unload them. So when you show up, be prepared to wait for about a half an hour as they figure out which truck it's on, and then somebody physically goes to look at the inside of that truck and try and find your package.
Yeah, I just read a thing on a website from a woman that had a bunch of packages at a service that does delivery, but also will hold them, temporarily.
Yeah.
And they charged her for 8 boxes, and there was only 7, and she kept complaining and wasn't getting anywhere with them.
Did they give her a refund for one of them?
Well, the fact there was one that didn't exist, and they weren't being very helpful. And then they delivered all of the packages, which were the 7 that she was expecting. But she went back with, but there were 8. Where's the 8th? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's not going to work out real well. But it was also just right before that the FedEx Twitter said, the package is currently at the station, held up for the receiver's instructions. And I'm like, I'm the fucking receiver. What are you saying?
Yeah, sorry, it's being held up because the receiver's fault. Talk to them.
Yes, it's like, but I'm the receiver.
Yeah,
I don't think you understand this.
It's a weird thing as to who is authorized. I'm somewhat surprised, but also sort of not surprised that they let some random dude off Twitter redirect the package in somebody else's name.
But they didn't. They didn't redirect it. It showed up at the post office.
Oh, I guess it did show up. So they never did redirect it in the end.
No, which was hilarious. This was the last bit of customer service was at 8:30 the night before when they said
it showed up at the post office.
Right, that they were going to call me and get the redirect information. And then, no, they never called it. They said they were probably scared to come face to face. And I'm assuming that they realized at some point that their driver was just a fuck up that put that information down and that it's like, it's a P.O. box. What don't you understand?
Yeah.
You know, they never once said, like, well, we don't deliver to post offices. Or, you know, it's like. So
well, they do say that on their website. They do say they don't deliver to post offices.
Like, well, they do, but, you know.
But they don't, clearly.
Obviously, they have a problem with it. If the service doesn't get it there while they're open. And then, of course, there was a tag in the box then, which would have been fine. But my wife didn't even grab that at first. So she's like, I got a package. And they're like, are you Gene? Like, no, I'm not. But I can tell you what box it's for and who. And the post office, you know how the USPS is. They're just like, all right, here.
They don't give a shit.
Right. They want it out of their
They're
hands.
just trying to avoid having a coworker come in with a gun. That's
right.
All.
Exactly. So it's like, well, whatever you want, we'll make you happy, boss. We got it. No problem. But that part worked just fine. It all worked just fine, except for the fact that FedEx couldn't get there during the time that they were open. And it's like your hub is almost walking distance from the post office. So the concept that you can't get it there between 9 and 5 is a little humorous.
Well, not really. It's because you didn't pay for it.
I didn't pay for the morning service. I get it.
Yeah. But it's not even morning. You didn't pay for the day service.
They did.
You had the leftover service that you paid for.
It depends where you are on the route.
We'll get it eventually.
They deliver between 9 and 8. So the amount of time that they could have gotten, I mean, there's like 80% of the time is in that range. It's that little extra.
Well, I've got a delivery from Amazon that was supposed to be delivered yesterday.
Well, they're different.
And, but two things. One is their deliveries don't stop until 11 p.m.
Oh, no, they go all night long.
Really late. Oh, really? I've never gotten anything after 11.
Oh, yeah. They will go. And they have new service and they'll actually will tell you. But the one guy, ex-White Sox player that lives right down the street from us, who he never sleeps. So he's like the one morning he was up a little bit before 4, making the fire pit in the backyard, making sure everything was all out, the embers, all that. And he's like, I'm walking back to the front of the house while an Amazon guy's walking up. He's like, I think I scared the shit out of him. Somebody coming out of the darkness. But they deliver like in the middle of the night. I
haven't seen that. But so my delivery's showing up as should be here by 10 p.m. And it's 11 p.m. So obviously it never made it. So finally they updated their status saying, oh, there was a shipping error. Or whatever, shipping delay. So I'm wondering if it's going to show up today or tomorrow. Now it's not a big deal because I just ordered a new whatchamacallit, a new
3D glasses
air fryer.
Oh, a Kasori?
Yes, motherfucker, you're guessing way too many things lately. Seriously, God damn it!
I know you.
You do know me.
I am in your brain. The Kasori's awesome. That's what I have. It's the best.
Yeah, apparently, because I've been kind of bitching about that. My basket size is just a bit too small to do a couple of things in my current air fryer.
Oh yeah, I just made 2 big bourbon kebabs last night.
Oh, that looks good. Yeah,
dude, they were awesome. The Meyer are out here at the meat counter. They had them. So they're like marinating the meat now first. And for some reason,
that's the best way to do it.
The chicken they have is like small, but the beef, man, huge.
Big. Yeah. I'm a big fan of marinating, and I don't do it very often, but the best way to do it I found is with a vacuum sealer machine.
Yeah, we've got one of those. They're awesome.
So if you buy from the vacuum sealer machine, you can buy containers. They're basically just like Tupperware.
Right. The top sucks the air out.
But it's got a hole in the top with a one-way valve. And so you put your meat with the sauce and the seasoning in there that you want to marinate in. And then what you do, and this is the real trick to it, is you evacuate all the air out of it, or as much as you can with the vacuum sealer, and that'll puff up the meat as the pressure goes down. And then you open the valve back up and let the air come back in there slowly. And that will actually make the meat suck in the marinade juice into it. And I usually do that 3 times. And then the final time you suck out all the air and then you put it in the fridge for at least 24 hours to finish marinating. Because you really want that meat to be completely like filled with the flavor of the marinade. And the best way to do that, I mean, you could, the old fashioned way is you just stick it in the fridge in the sauce for 3 days.
Right.
And that's usually enough time to permeate everything. But with the vacuum sealing, you could do it much faster. You can almost do an instant marinade just by doing a few of these cycles of vacuum and then letting the air back in and vacuum, letting the air back in. Oh, yeah. Because as that pressure changes, it just gets more of that sauce right into the meat.
Yeah, you could do that in like 20 minutes. You're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But usually you need to be able to fit your kebabs in your air fryer.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a few things. And because my current one was round, you could only put like 2 bacon strips down the middle. And then the rest of your bacon strips had to be bent sideways. They had to lean to the left or the right because it was round. And I was like, this is a stupid ass design. So finally I got around to it and I started looking, okay, I'm just going to get a new one.
Yeah, these will fit like 5 thick cut slices of bacon side by side.
Perfect. You don't need more than that.
Good for a nice big BLT.
So I'm looking forward to it because and it's got an app so you can control it from your phone.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I've never hooked that up.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why I want to start my air fryer with.
Oh, I do that with my sous vide all the time. It's great to have that control on the phone. I'm sitting upstairs and all of a sudden it'll start chirping at me that it's done, and I could just, instead of getting off my lazy ass and walking downstairs to the kitchen, I could just hit a button on the phone and tell it, okay, keep it warm.
Keep it warm for me, baby.
Uh-huh.
It's like the Keurig we have now that's connected to the internet, which the only reason I connected that, which is it makes sense. If you've ever noticed on the top of some of those cups, there's a little QR code. Mm-hmm. It uses that to make the perfect cup of coffee, depending on what the manufacturer says would be the right temperature and amount of pressure or whatever these things are putting in there. Mm-hmm. How much water, what kind of water flow it should get.
I think a Keurig is certainly better than automated systems.
Automate everything.
There's no substitute for having a real espresso machine.
Well, no, that's true. But you have to have a little skill to be able to use that.
Or speak Italian.
Well, that would be true, too. You want to be able to froth that milk just right, and that gets messy. Mm-hmm. I've tried it all.
Yep.
Hey, tell me about peak feminist politics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I watched a speech by the governor, or no, what is she? The president? No, but prime minister of New Zealand yesterday. And this is from probably a week ago. She was addressing the United Nations. Started off by doing all the I guess, obligatory virtue signaling about Ukraine, but then moved off of Ukraine as a topic and moved on to the unfortunately common topic these days of words are dangerous.
Ooh, words are violence.
Yeah, they are violence, and how these words that we're allowing to be used are they're creating a bad atmosphere, a violent atmosphere, and how they're promoting fake news, or not? What do they call it? It's not fake news. They're promoting.
There's political violence and
I mean,
hatred.
Effectively, she's basically talking about how we shouldn't be allowing people to make other people feel bad.
Right.
That's the net message.
But which is what Twitter and all of social media has been for the last couple of years.
And it occurred to me, and I'm sure I'm not the first person that's thought of this by any stretch, but I really kind of thought about it. It was like, what we're seeing here as this woman who is the Prime Minister of New Zealand is demonstrating is the reason that women shouldn't be in politics. Because the millions of years of evolution that has happened to all mammals, in fact, all animals, but certainly mammals and primates and apes and things that are closer to us in the animal kingdom, is a divergence between the needs of the female of the species and the needs of the male of the species. And those needs are expressed by the females and males of the species in whatever role that they currently take on in modern life. And one of those differences is that the females are taught to be the peacekeepers. They're the ones that, or I shouldn't say taught, they are genetically selected over millions of years to have the mentality and demeanor to be peacekeepers. They're the ones that are supposed to tell the kid, everything's all right, you'll be fine, that, we'll make sure that bully never bullies you again. Where the male of the male of the species is taught to overcome adversity, that you have a fight and you win that fight. And that's how you overcome these things. So it's the difference between what a mom says and a dad says to a kid when the kid tells him he's been bullied at school. The dad, what are most like dads of our age bracket would tell you?
Punch him in the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, did you hit him?
Right.
Did you teach him a lesson? Uh-huh. And if you didn't, here's the best way to punch him. Right. So dad is going to tell you how to stand up for yourself and how to prevent future negative incidents by utilizing violence, and in a very positive way. And the mother will absolutely not tell you to do that, because to her, that's stupid. That's just, don't listen to your dad. Did you try and talk to him and explain to him why he shouldn't make fun of you?
I did, and then he kept making fun of me.
And if that didn't work, well, I'm going to call the principal and I'll have a chat with the principal and make sure that he doesn't bully you again. That's the mom approach. And so what you've got are people, and again, I'm generalizing here, obviously, not 100% of men are like this, and not 100% of women are the other way. But because there are masculine women and there are feminine men. And so it's more about the masculinity and the femininity than the actual sex of the person themselves. But when you have a feminine prime minister or president or any kind of leader, and it doesn't matter whether it's a feminine male or a feminine female, their genetic, many, many years of evolution, millions of years of evolution, approach to how to handle stressful situation is going to be either feminine or masculine. And the danger here is where we are right now is in a feminine-led world of politics. We have a bunch of people, regardless of whether they're males or females, that are more of what we describe as a feminine approach when they're dealing with politics.
Well, and then you put them head to head with somebody like Vladimir Putin, and what do you get?
Yeah, well, that's a very good example. Putin is he's not the most masculine of men. I know he rides bears, but with his bare chest. But Putin, like I've said before, is far from the most aggressive of the politicians in Russia. Plenty of guys in Russia said a long time ago, we need to just wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth. Like for what they've been doing for 8 years to people in the Donbas region, there is no redemption here. Like Ukraine needs to be cleansed. And Putin has been the one pushing back against that. And he's been the one it's taken 8 years. Those regions literally asked for help and asked to be integrated into Russia within a month of the CIA staged revolution that happened in Ukraine. And it's taken that many years for Putin to finally decide to do something. But what you have are people that are they got their way in a lot of things, and when they don't get their way, their approach is the feminine approach rather than the masculine approach. And it's like, well, but we're sending all these weapons to Ukraine, and there's now even U.S. boots on the ground there. Yeah, that's true. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. These are people that are more concerned about the image of something than the substance of something. They are more concerned to come across as being pro-Ukraine because they're not even sure why, but mostly I think because in this scenario, and I wasn't even going to go with Ukraine, but you kind of brought up Putin here, because they see Putin as a bully, as the bad guy. Well, he crossed the border, therefore he's the bad guy. They're not interested either in fighting him, nor are they interested in what actually happened. Like, why were you being bullied at school? What did you do to the other kid? They're just purely looking at it from that feminine, like, I'm going to fix things for you standpoint. And this whole rhetoric right now, that this Prime Minister of New Zealand, I was just one of many politicians doing this, but she was the one that I happened to be thinking of, or when I watched her is when I thought of this. But this concept that the best way to prevent people from feeling bad isn't to make them learn how to deal with adversity. It's to remove the free speech of the people that are making these people feel bad.
Right. I mean, this is the kind of woman that would have put me in jail for what I said to the FedEx people.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that I wouldn't have put you in jail myself, frankly, because you got my name attached to that package and you're fucking talking about fucking shit all the time.
Well, yeah, that's how it works.
Last time I do you a favor, buddy.
The FedEx people, I gave them my name. Then I said it was, and then I just got tired.
My name's Daryl O'Neill Gene Nafiliev.
Right. I'm like, but it was sent to this person, but it was me. They kept
that's my alias, my professional name.
Yes, exactly. Maybe that's what I go by. It's like, who was the receiver? It's like, well, it was Gene Nafiliev. He was the receiver, and that's what you have to do. But
he's dead now. Yes, okay, he's dead. I'm trying to get his stuff when he's dead.
He can't pick this package up. I'm sorry. I can bring. Although the nice thing of knowing you, I bet you can get me a death certificate in 14 different languages, like overnight. It would be like, here.
I don't know if you got the kind of money we're talking to do that.
Be like, here we go.
Death certificate, that's not a problem. You can get those done real fast.
That's But this concept, it's like, you do realize that just changing the language that people use, or by restricting the language, does not change the way people think and the way people feel and what people are going to react by or to, which means it's all irrelevant. All of this, we're going to restrict speech, does nothing but cause more issues. It's this concept of giving any one word the power that it has been given is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we know there's now a few words. If you say it, you're never getting a job in corporate America ever again. And it's nuts.
Yeah, like Elon Musk.
Right. Well, with Elon, maybe you will. God bless that guy that he locked out everybody at Twitter today.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, he's not wrong when he says I'm getting hate from the left and the right, because I totally also agree with the guys on the right that are saying, well, why the hell is Jordan Peterson still not on? Like, how long does it take if he's bringing people back that should have never been kicked off Twitter? How fucking long is this going to take for prominent people? I'm not talking about some Joe Blow that got kicked off. I don't expect my old account to ever get reactivated, but I've got a new account, so I really don't care.
I think that's it. It should
But I don't even think, I mean, why would they keep an account that they've booted off the platform beyond
somebody
a few
else
months?
Can't grab it, I would guess. I don't know how they're
why wouldn't they? They should free it up so somebody else can grab it.
Right. So if you had at Donald Trump and you delete him, well, then somebody else grabs it.
Yeah, sorry. You got a different Donald Trump now.
God, can you imagine having that name? There you go.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably thousands of people named Donald Trump.
Not a good name to have in the world today.
I don't know. Depends who you vote for, I guess.
It just depends where you are in the world.
Yeah.
But that's
what
the
should
problem
I have for lunch
with all of this violent words are violence or silence is violent. Which is it? I don't know. Is it words?
It's
or
all violence.
Everything's violence.
Yeah. The problem is that these people seem to equate one small group's feelings as trumping. There you go, using that word. Trumping over a much larger group's ability to converse.
Yes. Well, and it's like, if you're going to, you can't, if you're really going for equality, you can't go, well, okay, wait, you can't say the N word because that's going to upset these people. You can't say the R word because that's going to make these people mad.
What's an R word?
Retard. People don't like the word retarded.
Really?
Yes.
Is that not in use anymore?
I didn't realize some people that triggers people left and right, even though it is
retarded.
Yes. I don't understand.
How is that?
The
next thing you know, they're going to say you can't use gay.
Well, there you go. To mean happy or
no, I mean to be like either something's gay or it's retarded, you know. Like
yes.
Back in the 80s when we used
everything
to talk,
was gay or retarded.
That's one or the other.
That was it. That's all we had. And now people
that's all we had. Retarded and gay. Yes, that's all we had.
That was the 80s. That's all we had. Those were the cut downs. Those were what you said to your buddies. And that's just the way it is. But if you start
but it had nothing to do with either sex.
No.
Or somebody's medical condition.
No. Well, and
it had to do with like, my God, why are you not thinking?
Yes.
Look, you're being retarded.
Which is literally the definition.
Or what are you thinking? Right. That's so gay.
Right. Well, you're right. Exactly.
That's what it meant. It had nothing to do with the things that they're portraying it as meaning. No one gave a shit about the small bus kids, right? It's not like you're trying to demean them. Like they're there, they're in the small bus, hopefully not in any part of the school that you're in.
Hempress, Emily, and DigiGuru are telling us not to forget the almighty cunt as the C word.
So cunt's not that's like a perfectly legitimate word that is used in the majority of British comedy that I watch.
Yes. It's a very
that's not an insult word.
But this is where you run into issues where people start taking it as so. And if you start legislating,
you can't,
that you can't say things that are going to offend anybody. It's like, well, how do you know we don't have a group that's offended by the word, bacon? Well, he said bacon. Oh my God.
There is a group. They're called Muslims.
Right. Okay. There you go.
God damn it. I can't believe you just said the B word.
How dare
Jesus
you?
Christ, Darren. I mean, we're going to lose half our audience now.
How dare you? But this is you can't legislate that kind of stuff. It's insanity. People choose, and this is one of the few things that I remember agreeing with Ryan Bemrose on over on Grumpy Old Ben's. People get to choose what they are offended by. The person saying the word does not get to choose whether somebody or not is offended, and thus anybody can be offended by anything. So trying to legislate any of it.
I think you just need to extend what you just said across the board is that the person who says something doesn't get to choose how it's received.
Correct.
If somebody chooses to pretend that they are of a different sex than they actually are, they can't they don't have the right to be offended when somebody else chooses not to believe them.
Yes. Or misnames them or misgenders them.
There's no such thing as misnaming or misgendering. That's the other thing is it's funny because if you go back to the 70s, this was very much the liberal kind of thought pattern is that that everything is relative. There is no such thing as a concrete black and white. Yes, this is it. So it would literally be impossible to misgender in the 1970s version of liberalism because gender is not something that has specifics in it. It's a continuum. It flows from one side to the other, and literally nobody is at either extreme. Everybody is somewhere on the continuum. So this is the kind of shit that Kingsley did all his research on. Is although he had a very tainted group of subjects that he was doing it on, but nonetheless, I think there's some good stuff that came out of there that is truer to reality than not, which is there are feminine men and there are masculine men, and there are feminine women and there are masculine women, and just because somebody is a little dykey or butchy, i.e., a masculine female, she's still a female. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like there are women that are tomboys and there are women that work on cars.
I think those would be tomboys.
And they're all, now there's two separate things, right? Tomboys are not necessarily the ones that are working on the cars.
And mechanics.
Yes, those are mechanics, not tomboys. But the point, and there are men that deliver flowers. My point is that their behavior doesn't flip-flop what's between their legs. Even their behavior with other people of the same sex does not change that. So what's wrong with just saying somebody's a feminine male or a masculine female? Why do we have to pretend, right. Oh, no. That's actually a man now. No, that's actually a woman now.
Well, yeah, there's a difference.
Like, no, that's not a fucking woman. That's a man.
Who's acting. All right. There is who
that's
you are.
Feminine, and some of them are not all that feminine, I might add you. They're just transvestites. Why have we forgotten what the term transvestite means? It's because a man who likes wearing women's clothes.
Which is
that's
exactly
all it is.
Why the reality is there is who you are. There are very more likely, more accurately, there is what you are and what you do. Those are two things. You can't change what you are. You are what you are. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have surgical procedures, but you started one way. That's where the baseline is.
You can't change your DNA, baby.
Right.
Unless you're rich.
Unless you have enough of that mRNA stuff and you inject it in, and then you can become another person. I'm telling you. You know what the most horrifying part of the whole FedEx experience was? I was waiting on the phone for somebody to ask me, well, Neftuliev, how do you spell that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Be like, fuck if I know.
So you got to see what that was like for a day.
I was like, I mean, really, I'm sitting there like going over like NAFTULYEV, NAFTLULYEV, one NFT.
You know, my mom changed her last name for that reason.
Because it was longer?
Yeah, she just changed it to NAFT.
Ah, okay. So she's
NAFT.
There you go.
Yeah, she is out, and it pissed me off to no end, of course, because I was, a kid when she did it. I was like, what? I'm going to be one of those kids with parents with different last names? Please.
But you kept the long, crazy Russian name.
I was very tempted to add on a few more letters to it.
See, that would have been good. What can you add on at the end?
Sen. Neftuliev.
Oh, so okay. So was it already shortened to Neftuliev at one point?
What? No. Yev is the same as Sen. It just means son of.
Well, I just thought maybe there was originally a longer.
But I was living around a bunch of Norwegians, and so I thought it'd be appropriate to add a son or a son.
Whatever.
Johnson, Anderson.
Could you spell
might
that
as
for
well
me?
be a Neftuliev son.
That makes sense. Can you spell that for me? No. And I wonder what somebody would do if they're like,
Can you spell it? No.
Yes. Yeah, I cannot.
No.
Just,
It's right there. Well, I usually, in the situations I just say, it's right there in front of you. Do you not see it?
but we have to confirm your identity, sir. We're very serious about
me reading something to you isn't going to confirm it.
I know. And they're always like, well, what address was it shipped to? It's like, I gave you the tracking number. Yeah. Really? What
you
more
literally
do you
have
need?
the fucking tracking. And this is pet peeve. I really don't understand why, to this day and age, we still have to fill in the fucking state on the shipping labels.
Yeah, if you have a zip code, that should be all
you have need. A zip code. That's all you need. You need the street address, a name's helpful, and a zip code. You don't need the city. You don't need the state. All of that is determined by the fucking zip code.
I'm with you. Let's make this happen.
This is how Musk made his money initially.
By starting PayPal?
This pre-PayPal is he had a company that did zip code matching for things.
Oh, really?
It's called Zip to something.
Well, that makes sense for marketers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a marketing thing. Yeah, exactly.
Was this like, I remember having a thing that I got when I worked managing a carpet store years ago, where it was a bunch of, this was back in the day of the CD-ROM. It was like 40 CDs or something, but it was something with zip codes where you could, basically pull out any of the demographics. It was like a very glorified database. And it would make sense because if you're looking to target somebody for mailings and stuff like that, well, where do you get the list?
Yep.
Somebody's got to make that money. Elon does it.
Yeah. And he's been pretty good at figuring out ways to make money. The whole $8 Twitter thing.
I'm in.
It's so funny.
I'm in.
I don't know if I'm in. Here's the downside of that is, I think it's going to make people getting doxxed a lot more common.
I would agree.
Because they're saying, well, you got to put in your real info because we're going to verify it against your license.
But they're not disclosing your real information.
Oh, dude. Are you kidding?
You're just
it'll be
for that database.
A prime target within a month of this becoming a new thing. I guarantee you, Twitter has experienced a breach in security resulting in the addresses and names of 40 million people in the United States being published. It's absolutely going to happen.
Which news guy accent is that?
Oh, this is the Simpsons news guy accent.
I like it.
Yeah, you like it?
It's good for official news.
It's there's a guy that Adam always likes to have in the news that's like holding in a shit or something. What is the guy's name?
Begaze.
Begaze. So it's a little bit of that combined with the Simpsons kind of news thing.
But I
think there's one on Family Guy that sounds very similar to that too.
Yeah, well, that's Norm Brockman or whatever. Family Guy news at 11. But I like the idea that
in the morning,
all of the blue check marks are freaking out because all of a sudden every asshole with $8 a month.
Yeah, they're more freaking out that other people can get it than they're freaking out that they're going to have to pay $8.
Yes.
Except for AOC. AOC is freaking out about paying $8.
She's a moron. Oh my God. She should not try to
always
debate.
Been a moron.
I know.
But she's a cute moron.
But she shouldn't try to publicly debate a billionaire who actually has a brain. This is not going to go well, AOC.
Who's a rocket scientist?
Yeah, literally a rocket scientist. But if the reality is my content on Twitter would get in front of more people, we know this is a problem with things like Facebook, where the stuff you post, everybody that's following you, that's a friend, is not going to see it. Now with Twitter for $8 a month, if I can post longer form audio and video, this is actually a great place to post our podcast.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because people will find it, they'll listen, and then, okay, this may not be the most convenient, but then you're like, well, go to unrelenting.show and subscribe.
Yep.
So that makes a lot of sense. $8 a month is not a lot. We talked about this on Grumpy Old Ben's, the fact that in the United States, 90% of the content was being produced by 10% of creators on Twitter. That's who Elon wants to monetize. And he also said he wants, if they get it to the point where they can actually start making money, because Twitter ain't been making money, if they can get to the point to where they're making money, he wants to start paying out to the content creators like YouTube does.
Exactly.
It's like, why do you think YouTube has some decent creators and some decent content? Is because just throwing the stuff up there, YouTube will sell ads on it and they will give you money.
Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't. Well, I kind of understand why, but it seems silly. But if I was running Twitter, I would have leaned into the politics big time. I want both the ultra liberals and the ultra conservatives debating each other on my platform. Yes. I don't want to kick somebody off. I want more Alex Jones to be able to get on there and have more outrage created, because outrage is what creates conversation. Well, it creates posts, right? Yeah. And posts is what I need in order to put ads in there.
Remember
this whole
Morton
idea
Downey Jr.?
Oh yeah, he was great. I got his album.
They got the argument. That's it. This is what you want. You want people to be having the argument. You want to be doing it on your platform. You want to be able to monetize it, which is why I thought it was the dumbest move Twitter could make. And they did this, a couple of weeks ago, it seemed, before Elon took over, was the ability when you're making a tweet to restrict who could comment on that. That is stupid.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yes. If you're going to post on Twitter, you're posting it for the world to comment on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think, the level of really discourse on Twitter was a cesspool at times, to be sure, but at the same time, it was something that was letting off people's steam.
Yeah, well,
and
the place
if you
to
don't
go
allow steam to get let off, then you're going to be that's going to get bottled up. That's a problem.
Well, and this was it. And I was doing it a little bit for effect because I kind of enjoy yelling at people every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the exact feeling I got talking to FedEx, where they were, well, we can't help you. Call the shipper. It's like to tell them that the right address is on the package, and FedEx refuse. I don't understand what I'm calling them to tell them. But it's that kind of mentality.
Please reship this to a different address.
Right. Well, it's like, that is the address. It's going to be to the same address. So I don't know what you want to tell them. But this is when people feel like they're not having their complaints heard. There is that human nature. It is going to just make you more upset. And people, with as much of a cesspool as the internet is, you would much rather have people doing that than showing up at Paul Pelosi's house with a hammer. I don't know.
Well, I don't think anybody showed up at Paul Pelosi's house. My suspicion, that I have no proof of,
there was an underwear party going on,
is there was a little bit of an underwear party going on with several people, not just those two.
Little kinky hammer play.
Uh-huh.
Where was that hammer going, and which side?
A little hammer party.
Yeah,
it was a hammer party.
Where was the hammer going, and which side?
Hey, does this work? Let me see here.
What are you doing? What does this? This is the final words of a lot of podcasts. Does this work? And then
can you hear it?
No. What was I supposed to
hear?
Hearing?
Nothing?
No.
Interesting.
I heard silence.
I'm playing a little bit of Morton Downey Jr. here.
The mouth that roared.
Wonder why it didn't work. It should have. I've got everything set up.
Because you don't know how to do audio routing. We've covered this. God.
We covered this as right. And the hell I don't.
You thought you did, but then you don't.
It's totally working.
It doesn't.
And stuff.
I can route anything I wanted.
Hey, baby.
See, it just happens.
Uh-huh.
It's magic.
Why would it be doing that? Everything's set up. You're on 5.6. I'm on 5.6. 5.6.
Hey, are you all on 5.6? Everybody listening on 5.6, call the 5.0.
Everybody's on 5.6.
There's a hammer party.
There is a hammer party.
Wait, it's an underwear hammer party with alcohol and probably a little bit of cocaine.
Can't touch this.
Can't touch this. No. Nothing.
I don't know about cocaine. At that age, man, you got to be super careful about coke.
Once you get past 80.
I haven't done coke in years for that reason.
Well, because your heart can only take so much.
Exactly. And it's taken all of it.
It gets done, man. You don't want to push it to the limit.
It's been done. It's
like taking a Tesla through a puddle.
Oh, low blow, man. Low blow.
Sorry, Elon. I still want to be on Twitter, though, man. I love you. You're great.
Yeah, you're never getting on Twitter at this point.
I'm there. I mean, I had an Olympic boxer wanting to take my name, but I said no.
You did?
Yes. It was my name. I had it a lot longer.
Oh, okay.
He was
he's
a nice guy, though. The Irish guy.
Huh. There's an Irish boxer with your name?
Yeah, he in the Olympics.
Darryl O'Neill.
Darren O'Neill. He medaled, I think, like bronze. Or
How
something.
much did he willing to pay for it?
Yeah, he didn't offer any money. He just asked nicely, and I was like,
whatever.
Screw you, dude.
Yeah.
No, he's a nice guy. And for a while, people would keep sending the wrong stuff to me, so I would just forward it, the message on to him, like, I think you mean, because he was like really big when the Olympics were going on. There was a lot of people tweeting at him, and it's like, wrong guy. I am not. I don't know why I would say I'm not. I mean, like, hey, I'm a really fit Irish boxer, dude. That'd be way cooler than podcasting.
You're a fit Irish boxer? I don't think so.
Right. I know. You see the difference here?
I'm pretty sure you're not.
If that was an identity to take, I mean, that would have been a good one, though. But that's the problem with the internet. People have the same name, although, sometimes people don't get that.
That's true.
That's why sometimes I am Gene Nevtuliev.
And how's that working out for you?
I don't know. It's not as good as I thought it could be.
Yeah, apparently it just makes you swear a lot.
Yes. And all of a sudden there's a lot of black helicopters flying over the house. There's strange vans sitting in front. I don't know why. It says totally legitimate cleaning service or something on the side of it.
Hey. Yeah. No,
and now I hear that in the background. What are you doing?
Yeah. No, I was trying to figure out what's going on.
You don't know how to figure it out when we're not podcasting.
Well, that's the only time I can figure things out is when we're in the middle of the podcast. Because I need you to be able to like,
is this working? Is this working? Is this working?
Oh, this is interesting. Oh, I see. Okay.
And I will say,
how about this? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, but nothing else.
But you can hear me.
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. How about this?
I can still hear nothing but you. This is great radio.
Huh. Interesting.
Is this what the Good Old Boys podcast is like?
No. I do all my testing on here.
Oh, okay. We do have two people to thank for today's show, which will be nice and easy.
Okay. Yeah.
Kevin Seifert coming in with his $5 a month. We appreciate that. And Johnny Hipwell, who like the night of the last show sent in $3.33 and said, you guys made my night. So I guess we did a good show last week. At least Johnny thought so, and we appreciate that.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad there's one person listening.
Gene always tells you not to donate, but if you want to, go to unrelenting.show/donate. All the information is there. This is a value for value podcast.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like people have to listen to me.
No, that's true. It is best to defy Gene. We know the value for value model works. If anybody has listened to any of the last 3 episodes of No Agenda, there is no shortage of people willing to put money towards a show that they like. They just don't like this show.
Well, I've always said that. I mean, honestly, I think with No Agenda, first of all, people do like it. It's a good show. I got a nice little message from Adam with the 1500th anniversary thing. Because, I congratulated him on hitting the milestone. And he said, well, you were a big part of it. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, he told me I was a big part of it too. So, I mean,
yeah, it's the same message.
I'm a bigger part.
You just have a copy and paste.
Right. It goes out to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I wonder if CSB got that message.
Well, you are a bigger part of it because you're on every fucking day.
Yes, we're fluffing the stream, especially on Tuesday and Sunday.
The fluffer in charge.
Yeah, the head fluffer in charge.
The head fluffer in charge. Yeah.
It started.
Killed in the name of Jesus.
Look at that in here.
We've had the Crusades war.
You can hear that?
Yeah, now I heard that. What do you mean? Now you're like, why do you? Now you're confused.
You shouldn't be hearing that. That's not even playing anymore.
Let me tell you something. More people have been killed in the name of Jesus. We've had the Crusades war. We've had all these wars. They've all been killed by guys like you who now preach forgiveness. You guys were going to forgive if you could drive the bull up the butt.
They've been killed by guys like you.
And they'll continue to be killed by guys like you.
So more, you're saying you're a murderer.
I'm saying you're a murderer. You're a murderer. Any slave. Murderer.
How could you not Love this. This is such great content.
Well, for a minute, I thought you had my FedEx call tape for some reason. Kind of sounded the same way.
Oh.
Kind of
wow.
did. Kind of did.
Yeah. And of course, my next recommendation it's trying to give me is a Taylor Swift song. Perfect.
Yeah, Taylor, it's awesome. Good album. This is the first time, and this is because of the way streaming has changed the charts, that Taylor Swift on this week's Billboard charts has the top 10 Billboard songs of the week.
What?
1 through 10, all Taylor
How's
Swift.
that possible?
Because they go by streaming on Spotify and others, and her album was played so much that
so
10
there's
songs,
10 tracks and they're all in the top 10.
There's 13 tracks, and then there's a bonus version that had 20,
Wow.
but still 10 of those tracks have been played so much they rose above any other artist's songs.
Well, I mean, this is her first good album, I would say. So I think that's not surprising.
Moving right in the right direction. Sold more vinyl in the UK than any album ever did in a week,
Yeah,
I guess.
that's inconsequential. No one gives a shit about that. But
The damn
sure.
UK. Well, here I was like, well, I don't know if it was worldwide or whatever. There was over 400,000 vinyl copies sold.
Again, no one really
first
gives
day.
a shit. It's all the retro zoomers and old farts like you buying that shit.
Vinyl is great, man. It'll live forever. When the internet goes down, I
It
still get to hear
definitely-
music.
All you got to do is leave vinyl by the window
In the sun.
on a nice sunny day, and it is not going anywhere.
We should try that.
Oh, we have tried that. Did you not do that when you were a kid to your parents?
No,
Collection
I
of
would have
albums?
gotten
No.
beaten with a belt, man. Why would I want to do that?
By your mom, right?
Right, probably. No, see, that was it. And this was the moment that those dynamics changed. When I was a kid, if I was getting unruly, Mom would go to the kitchen and she would pull out the big wooden spoon. I'm not even sure I ever got hit with the big wooden spoon, but
But it
that
was a
stopped.
threat.
Right.
It was an implied threat.
And there was some point at, 13, 14, whatever it was, that I realized the implied threat was just implied and then it lost all of its power.
Yeah.
That's part of parenting, though.
No, I remember getting the belt, man.
You deserved it, though.
Back in my day,
That was the 1940s. So
the kids, if they don't do what you tell them to do, then you cause some physical pain for them.
and they learn.
That's how things work. They do learn. Absolutely. They learn how to, talk quieter.
You learn how to behave and not be a dick. We never had this like, oh, no, you hurt my feelings. You can't say that
Yeah.
word. It's like you
Joke's
can't.
on them
Yeah.
when they get old, though.
You can't have a public discourse.
No, and that's what the problem is just women femininity in government.
Well,
Yeah,
that's why there's a lot
in
of
government.
people that think Mayor Pete, Buttigieg is going to be the next
Oh God,
presidential nominee. It's like, we're not.
gonna be the next governor of Texas.
Maybe that's he moving there.
Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah. He's going to get
Oh
together.
no, I'm
with Beto.
thinking of Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of
Beto.
Beto O'Rourke.
Right.
Beto.
They're both about the same, aren't they?
Yeah. You got to trust the Mexican from Ireland. Yes.
That's the only one you can trust.
Yeah, they're both gay. I think you're right about that.
That sounds like the 80s again. That is hurtful speech. Gene.
No, they're actually gay. They're not like 80s gay. They're actual gay.
Right. Okay. That does clear that up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's actual gay and then there's, gay.
And it was derogatory to be like, well, that's so gay, dude.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, nobody really understood.
Hey, did the gays ever ask if they could have the word gay from the people that used it to refer to jovial times?
I don't think so.
No, I think they just took it.
The gay old
Well,
times.
In the 80s, we took it right back.
See, well, this is it. And words do change meanings, and they are very fluid.
Speaking of gay,
Okay.
in the
You have
80s
something
and
to tell us.
90s, oh yeah, in the 80s and 90s, and I don't know when this happened, but in the 80s and 90s, I distinctly remember that it was GLBT, gay, lesbian, bisexual. Not even T. There was no T. It was just gays, lesbians, and bisexuals, right?
It's almost
GLB.
BLT.
GLB.
Yeah, it's not as good as a
Like
BLT.
the protests or whatever you saw on TV or the group marching, it was GLB. When did the lesbians push their way ahead of the gays? When did it become turn into LGBT?
And then they start pushing the gays out because men are bad, even if you are gay.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Gay men are just as bad as straight men. They just happen to be gay. But when did the GL became an LG? That's what I'd like to know. As somebody who's, straight-ish, I guess. It's a spectrum.
Ish.
It's a spectrum. So
there's going to be questions about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I like cooking. That makes me less masculine, I guess.
Yeah, except that all of the best chefs in the world are men.
Well, all the best men are men, aren't they?
Hey, there you go.
Uh-huh.
My wife can't cook. Worth a damn. I cook everything.
Well, that clearly was not your priority when you were courting her.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Never looked into that.
My ex-wife was a very good cook, and my weight gain proved it.
Is that what caused it?
Oh, I'm totally blaming her. Yeah, fuck yeah.
So what about after the divorce?
I can't say I was always a super skinny dude or anything, but she did cook really well, and it was hard to not eat her food.
What was a typical big Friday evening supper when you got home from work after a hard day? What did she have waiting for you?
Let's see.
Or if she wanted something from you, if she wanted you to get her something or do something that you didn't want to do.
Sure. She would do like buckwheat, and then do a stuffed peppers.
Ooh. Stuffed peppers are good.
Very good. Yeah. But I've always been partial to buckwheat, and I almost never cook it myself. And so when she cook it, there'd definitely be I'd know she'd want something.
And what is buckwheat? I mean, I know.
You never had buckwheat?
No.
Yeah. See, most people in this country, I don't think have had buckwheat.
As far as something you would eat, no.
Yeah. Buckwheat is a grain, like barley or rye or any types of grains. And you've had probably oatmeal, right?
Yes. This morning, as a matter of fact.
There you go. So buckwheat, where you would eat in a similar way to oatmeal, the consistency of buckwheat is different from oatmeal. It's more, buckwheat has little kernels. They're kind of almost like a corn kernel, but a lot smaller. And when you cook it in hot water or steam, it kind of gets soft and bigger. It absorbs a lot of water and grows in size. So I'm trying to think of what it's like. It's a little bit like rice. It's maybe kind of like wild rice a little bit.
Is it like a nice risotto?
No, risotto's pasta. But it is kind of like a wild rice, I think, or even I guess brown rice. Yeah,
well,
probably
if it's buckwheat.
Probably brown rice. Yeah, but buckwheat. I think it's one of the tastier sort of hot cereal things that you can make.
I thought you were going to say it was one of the tastier Little Rascals.
No, buckwheat. I've never tasted a Little Rascal, so I wouldn't know.
Then you really for breakfast wouldn't want cream of buckwheat.
Yeah, I mean, but I just. I don't know. I just never seem to cook it. I could buy it. I could cook it myself. I might even have some in the pantry, but I just never remember to actually make it.
So you need a good woman to make you some buckwheat.
Yeah, buckwheat's good. And then my favorite honey is buckwheat honey. If anyone has ever had buckwheat honey, it is so good.
So it's honey infused with buckwheat? Is that the what is buckwheat honey? What are you talking about?
It's where the bees live next to a field that is growing buckwheat, and so they're making the honey from the nectar of the buckwheat.
So this is what they're feasting on is the buckwheat.
Yeah, Yeah.
And what makes
And
the honey different when it's
Well,
buckwheat honey?
it has a slightly different taste. You could taste the difference between regular honey and buckwheat honey. And there is no such thing as regular honey. I mean, most honey is either clover, or down here in the South, there's not much clover. So it tends to be more, more just sort of variety of grasses that we have here. But different plants definitely flavor honey if that's the primary food of the bees. And you can, if you go to a nice store, you can usually find a variety of honeys you can select. But the buckwheat honey is jet black. It's like molasses.
Can you get this?
You're the one who brought up buckwheat, not me.
Can you get some buckwheat honey at RussianPrepper.com? AngryRussianPrepper.com?
Angry Russian Prepper, yeah, exactly. It is pretty. I think it's a little tastier because it's like a more mean honey.
Ooh.
Like it's honey with a little bit of meanness to it.
It's like honey with a little attitude.
And it looks like molasses.
Well, I'll be sure to look for some.
But you can't always get it. Like you either have to go to a store that has a variety of interesting foods, like a foodie store, or maybe you could mail order. I don't know. This week's episode sponsored by Buckwheat Honey Incorporated.
Available now at AngryRussianPrepper.com.
Yeah, you like it?